What's up, guys? Mason the Brock Henderson here, and this is Criminal Minds, Season 12, Episode 21, Greenlight. So this is the first part of what is going to be a two-part finale. So far so good, as far as I can tell. A couple things that didn't work in this one because, overall it was a good episode, but there were some problems I had. The first thing is the stuff with Reed that's going on. It doesn't I don't feel it. I'm not in that moment. I'm not there with Reed, and I'm not in his mind right now. And that's something that's really kind of depressing to me, that the show is all about, what's the name of the show? Criminal Minds. It's all about the mental side of this stuff. It's all about the mental side of crime and people and everything. And yet, we haven't really had the dive into Spence's psyche that I think we should have. And a lot of that has to do with the fact that what have we done most of this season? Well, we've spent time looking at other cases while we have a few minutes every now and then with Spence. That's the problem. Right now, I should be feeling this, oh my gosh, Spence has really gone downhill. I mean, look at where he is now. His mind must be tortured. I mean, he's gone through all this stuff. But the problem is, I haven't spent enough time with him this season, so I don't know that. I don't feel that. Most of the time that we were there with him, he's either being forced to try to move drugs through the prison, or we see him talking to his defense lawyer, and that's about it. So I don't actually feel what he's feeling right now, and so it's not really a problem with this episode, because I do understand what they're trying to convey here. I do understand what they're showing. Spence has gone through all of this stuff. Everything that he's gone through has kind of pushed him to the edge, to where now he's willing to stab himself in the leg to make sure he's out of danger. He looks like he's willing to do whatever it takes to survive, that type of thing. But I didn't get to see it enough. I didn't get to experience it this season. It's just like, oh, we saw some clips with Spence throughout the season, and now this is where he is because of all that happened to him. So there's just more of a complaint on this second half of the season as a whole. The other thing that I had a problem with is Penelope. There's this moment where she hears about Spence stabbing himself in the leg to get himself moved to solitary, and she's like really obviously upset about that. But then she hands Prentice some resignation papers. She's like, "I'm leaving the team. If I can't do it anymore. If Spence gets hurt, it'd be too much for me if we can't get him out of there." And here's the thing. One, there's already a concern for me that Spence is not going to be on the team next season, and if that happens, I may not watch next season because, frankly, without Spence, we've already lost Morgan, we've already lost Hotch, we brought in a robot and Stephen Walker, and so if you lose Spence off the team, you've just lost another interesting character. So there's already a concern for me that he may not be able to make it to the end of the season. Now all of a sudden you're threatening Penelope to leave the team. That's just like, hey, all the heart and joy that this team has that keeps you coming back even though the show is kind of a very dark, depressing show. It's all about serial killers. Penelope, the one thing that's like, oh yeah, this is something to bring some happiness. Her jokes most of the time are pretty funny. Yeah, we're going to kick her off the show. First of all, I don't think you're going to do it. Second of all, if you do it, it would be the dumbest thing ever. So I don't really know what they're trying to prove here. I don't know what the point of that is. But whatever the case, it seemed like a pointless moment of the episode. They didn't even bring it up later on. It's just she threatened to leave the team if something bad happens to Spencer, and then that's about it. So yeah, I don't know. It bothered me, but everything else was pretty good. We see Spencer, after he gets moved to solitary, we do see that this Calvin Shaw guy wants to get to him and wants to try to hurt him because of what he did with the drugs and everything. We're really seeing that he truly is like an evil guy in there, and that's something else that I wish we'd seen more of, because as far as I could tell, he seemed like a decent guy, and we saw that Luke was trying to get him to protect Spencer by threatening him, and so all of a sudden, out of nowhere, because of what happened with the drugs in this episode, he wants to kill Spencer. I'm like, oh, I totally understand why. So yeah, his motivations weren't very well thought out, but I do like getting to see him sort of be like, oh yeah, and laughing at everything. He goes over, has somebody whisper to the guy that Spencer was talking to, and all of a sudden she's like, oh, you a Fed? So, he's just trying to mess with Spencer any way possible, and it's always kind of fun whenever one of the main characters is kind of being psychologically messed with. So that was interesting. By the end of it, he ends up moving to, or Luke, I guess, gets him moved to another prison where people want him dead. So he gets his comeuppance in the end. But ultimately, the team manages to find enough on Lindsay something. Or I know her name is Lindsay. I can't remember her last name. But they end up finding enough proof to prove that she's the one that killed Nadine. So, or however you say her name. So they end up getting Spencer out of jail, so now he's free, but he's not technically reinstated yet, so he's still kind of a citizen. Well, after all is said and done, somehow they manage to find Lindsay and Mr. Scratch in some sort of house. I don't really remember how they got there, but ultimately they get there, they get inside, and it's not them, of course, because that would be way too easy, and there's still one episode left. Well, I guess the girl that was supposed to look like Lindsay has some sort of tablet device, and she's like, this girl told me to give it to you. And so they turn on the screen, and it's Aubrey Plaza, or, whatever her name is. And she was the girl assassin from last season. Probably the only interesting episode from last season that she was in. So, yeah, we see that she's returned. She really wants to get at Spence, which does kind of make sense just in the fact that Spencer did trick her last season. She thought she was going to see her dad, but then Spencer lied to her, and so it does make sense why she wants to get at him. Because, this whole time, we all kind of assumed, oh yeah, it was Mr. Scratch this whole time. He's just trying to get at the team, but now it makes even more sense that it was this assassin lady that wants to get her revenge on what Spencer did to her. So, I don't know, I like the twist. I like the fact that this whole time it's like, ooh, Mr. Scratch, ooh, we gotta stop him, but then it turns out to not be Mr. Scratch. But it does have me wonder, where's Mr. Scratch been this whole time then? Because I assumed that, Lindsay had been controlled by Mr. Scratch, because that seems to be what he was doing. Just controlling these people, convincing them that they're somebody else. And that seemed to be what happened to her. So to find out that he's not involved at all, has he just been hiding out somewhere? I guess because he saw somebody else was messing with the team, or I guess because Hodge left, he's like, oh, well, there goes my arch rival, and decides to leave. I don't know anymore. I don't know what to expect with Mr. Scratch, but I do like the twist. I do like seeing that she's back. And ultimately, it ends with Spencer going to see her in prison because that's what she wants, and Princess decides that's what we need to do. And there is one kind of good scene. I don't know. I feel like it's coming very, very late in the game. But there's this moment where everybody on the team's like, are we sure we want to send Spence in there? And like, I don't know. It may not be a good idea. Maybe we should send JJ in instead. She's going to be more mentally prepared for this than Spencer is. And all of a sudden, Emily's just like, no. This is the plan. This is what we're doing. And she finally takes charge for the first time this entire season, And part of that is they're trying to make sure that she's seen as the leader on the team. She's seen as, oh, she's in charge, nobody questions her. Because ultimately, when she took over for Hotch, that never really came through, that leadership quality. So this is the first time she's finally shown, oh yeah, she's the leader of the team. So even though it was a good scene to finally see that, it's way too late. We're almost done with this season. You're finally saying, oh yeah, remember, Prentice is in charge. So yeah, it just kind of came out of nowhere, considering most of the season she's not really seemed like the leader. But it ends with Spencer inside the prison about to talk to her, and that's what it leaves off on. So, his mom is still missing. They're still trying to find her. So all in all, good episode. It was enjoyable. It set up very well for the final episode. Two more things to talk about, and then this review will be over. First one, just, I don't know, because I like messing with Walker's character because he's such a boring ass character. When he and JJ go to find Spencer's nurse, the lady that was taking care of his mom before Lindsay came in and took over, They're trying to find her. Well, they find out that Lindsay apparently had an apartment near Spencer's apartment. So they go inside. The nurse is dead. And so they see all these pictures of Spencer being taken before all of this even happened. And so Walker pulls out his phone, touches the phone, holds it up, and you can clearly see there's nothing but the little FBI logo on there as he proceeds to talk to Prentice. Are we supposed to assume that he is crazy and thinks he's talking to somebody, or are we supposed to assume that the phones just are constantly working like walkie-talkies, or are we supposed to assume that he can communicate telepathically with Prentice? Because clearly that phone was not calling anybody, just from the picture on it. You'd think, editing, hey, look at that. That's very, very obvious that he's not really talking to anybody because there's nothing on the phone except for the FBI symbol. So, yeah, maybe we should fix that, but they don't care. The other thing to talk about is the next episode. I saw Shamar Moore is returning, so Morgan's back, and I already have a picture of how this is going to work. He's going to go in, Penelope's going to be like, Morgan, oh my gosh, and he's going to be like, what's up, baby girl? And it's just going to be awesome. He's going to come in all suave, and all of a sudden Walker's going to walk in, he's going to be like, who's this? Walker's going to be like, I am Stephen Walker. It is nice to meet you. And Morgan's going to be like, oh, hell no. Punch him in the face, rip off his face. It turns out Walker was a robot the whole time, trying to enslave the human race. And so Morgan saves the day. He comes back on the team, and this show returns to being awesome. Yeah, it's destiny. It's destiny is what it is. But anyway, I don't know what Morgan is going to be doing next episode, but it's nice to see that he's going to return. I would love for it to just be, oh, no, he's coming back for good. Because, like I said, Walker is not an interesting replacement. He's supposed to be kind of... Now that I say that, Luke was more Morgan's replacement. It's like Walker came in because Prentice was replacing Hotch and they needed somebody else on the team, and so they brought him. Truthfully, I don't even know his role on the team. Most people might say, oh, it's for diversity. Well, I mean, Tara's black too, so I don't think it was for that reason. And I don't know why he's on the team. He's such a non-interesting character. And he's a robot. I'm positive. The way he talks, monotone, no emotion, no inflection. I think that's about it for this episode, though, so let me know what you guys think down in the comment section below. What were your thoughts on this episode? Let me know what we can talk about and discuss, all that good stuff. Leave a like and subscribe for future Criminal Minds reviews, and I'll see you at the next one. Peace out.